See how I did that dramatic entrance? Hello, welcome back, Steve's Retirement Corner. Financial Fridays, long-term care. Hey man, about a month or so ago, give or take, I had a great question from somebody in a comment. I don't know what was the question, but I don't remember the exact verbiage of it, but it was something like if I thought about long-term care, or if I had a plan for it when I retired. And honestly, man, I give long-term care very little thought before I retired, man, very little. And I didn't have no plan for it, to be honest with you. Long-term care is not something that I'm really concerned about, unlike a lot of people. Maybe I'll make a video about that later, why it doesn't bother me as much as it does others. I don't know. Somewhere down the line. And I kind of figured I had enough equity in my house to cover one of us for a year or two. You know, and after that, just relying on the kindness of strangers, I guess. And but you know, a few years before I come up with a brilliant idea to retire, I did check into getting insurance for it, and I checked into sort of a hybrid annuity where it had a rider on it would pay a little bit towards long-term care. But once I got all the information and stuff, took it home and sat down and looked at it and thought about it for a little bit, I decided against it. I don't think there's a darn thing wrong with that stuff. I think everybody ought to at least take a look at that kind of stuff. It could save you in the end. But I just didn't think it was right for us, so I chose against it. Hopefully I never had to find out whether I made a mistake or not, but if it comes, we'll just have to deal with it at the time. But the value in that daggone comment, question, or whatever, the value in all these comments and questions I get is it makes me pause and think, to revisit something. It might even make me remember something like this one here did. Because last summer, I go twice a year for financial checkups, what I call it, just to look over things and talk through things with him, make sure everything's going the way I need it to go. And before I retired, I only went once a year, but I kind of figured my financial health is just as important as my physical health, and I go see my doctor twice a year for just a basic checkup and blood work. So I go 2 times a year to my financial advisor now. But he had mentioned last year that we might actually be able to pay for some long-term care out of our investments. And I thought about it, and I see the same numbers he did, and it never crossed my mind. So, and when I got that comment in, it was just a couple weeks before I went to see my advisor, which was last week or the week before. And so I made it a point to ask him about it, and he said yeah. And he even run some scenarios where it was possible for us that we might be able to fund a little bit of long-term care out of our investments. It's just, I mean, it was just pure luck. It's not something we ever planned. I never really give it a thought, to be honest with you. And like I said, he sees the same numbers I do, and I never put the two together. That's the value of having somebody talk that stuff over with, I think. But what it is how it works out. It's just, I mean, it just works out that way. What it is how it works out is that right now we're clearing about a little over $3,800 a month. $3,000 from my 401 and a little over $800 from my 401 distribution, a little over $800 from my pension. But according to my Social Security numbers I pulled off earlier this year, if I'd have turned 67 in January instead of 59, my insurance would have been 30 or 68. I'm sorry, that's my goal. my Social Security would have been a little over 3,500. Even using Steve's math and round it down to 3, give half of it to the baby, it's 15. That's 4,500 a month. And if I was living on Social Security, that's all I would need for my expenses, because that's more than I'm bringing in now. So I mean, that ain't counting my pensions. You know, by then I'll be making another $400 a month, something like that. I'll clear about $1,200 on them. Even if I have to pay some insurance, or I mean, some taxes on that. I mean, it's just the way it worked out. And what'll happen is I'm gonna stop pulling from my 401 and all that money and live off Social Security, and all my investments will start growing again. As it stands now, if I make it 5 or 10 years after Social Security, we'll have a little bit to help cover that daggone long-term care. You know, it's a lot of work getting to retirement, saving, trying to have a dollar, investing right and everything. But you know, the work only starts when you get into retirement. You're not working to make that money and put it back, but you're working to protect it and stretch it. And sometimes that's a lot daggone harder. So, you know, I mean, right now that's the plan. Check back in a few years, and I'm sure it'll change. You know, it's I think the best thing you can do, one of the best things you can do for long-term care, is to try to prevent to get there. Take care of yourself a little better. Do a little bit of exercise. Concentrate on your balance. We tend to lose our balance as we age. You know, work on them core muscles, your stomach, your shoulders, stuff like that. Stuff that helps keep you mobile as long as you can. Because that's where people run into trouble with that long-term care. They get to where they're not mobile and able to take care of themselves, do little daily tasks around the house. That's where a lot of them I see do. And that, and memory care, and then of course you got, you know, a lot of health problems that play into it too. But and eating right, man. Doing right is only half the battle. You gotta eat right, and that's where I fall down at, Doc. I don't lie to you. I eat good, but I don't eat anything that's good for me. Heck, last night we had biscuits and gravy. It's nothing but a liquid heart attack, Doc. Hey man, I try to make little steps when I can. But if I got my choice, I'm getting fried foods every day. Simple as that. I don't know, man. It just, that's my plan going forward. We'll see how it shakes out. But anyways, man, y'all take care of yourselves, and make it a great weekend, man. Next week's gonna be beautiful down here. It's gonna be in the 70s just about every day. Might even hit 80. I hear the river now. Do you hear it? Y'all take care. We'll talk to y'all later.